Happy Saturday, June 8th, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We have a lot to get to in today's weather forecast, including looking at this weekend's forecast with more severe thunderstorms in the forecast, as well as excessive heat as well. We'll look at the weather pattern next week and for Father's Day weekend as well. So if you are new to the channel, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below as we do daily weather forecasts across southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics on this channel every single day. Make sure to press the like button down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those after the video. Here is an awesome sunset picture yesterday sent in by your very own Weather on the Go near Rockford, Illinois yesterday on Friday evening. And look at that on the horizon. Very nice with those cirrus clouds out there. And it definitely looked like a very picturesque sunset, to say the least. If you want to send in your weather pictures, all you got to do is email me at weatheronthego20@yahoo.com. Leave your name or your username on YouTube, where the picture was taken, and the date the picture was taken as well. And we may just show your picture right here on one of my videos upcoming this year. Let's look at the weather forecast for the weekend. We have a trough across the Great Lakes and the Northeast that's bringing cooler weather, but some unsettled weather as we go into the weekend. A ridge of high pressure bringing more sunny skies and heat across the west and the south as we go through the weekend. Let's look at temperatures. Here is your afternoon highs expected today across portions of the central and southern plains. We're going to be well into the 90s, triple-digit heat from Amarillo down toward Lubbock and even the Midland, Texas region. Back here toward Phoenix, it's up to 102 as we go into this afternoon, 102 there into the Las Vegas area as well. And looking at the heat index this afternoon, this is what the atmosphere makes your body feel like as you go outdoors and how hot it truly is. You definitely could see the triple-digit heat again into Springfield, Missouri, into Wichita today, into Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Fort Smith, Arkansas, and Little Rock, all the way down here to Wichita Falls, Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Lake Charles, you name it. A lot of areas down here with the triple-digit heat as we go into this afternoon. Sunday afternoon, high temperatures, a little bit cooler across portions of Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma. That is actually going to be for some rain cooled air that's going to cool us off for Sunday, but the heat will be pushed a little further to the south. Here's your heat index Sunday afternoon. Again, triple-digit heat down here across Dixie Alley, the southern plains, and near the Gulf Coast. Florida is very hot as we go into Sunday afternoon as well. So make sure in this environment, stay hydrated, folks. Make sure you have the H2O, the water, and make sure you take frequent breaks in air-conditioned room or in the shade as well, especially if you venture outdoors this weekend. We are also keeping a very close eye on some severe weather. We have a level 3 out of 5, an enhanced risk of severe weather across northeast Colorado into western Kansas, and then a slight risk level 2 out of 5 in the yellow, extending eastward through eastern Kansas and into the Ozarks of Missouri. The biggest threat for today for severe weather will be for those damaging winds, potentially over 75 miles per hour from eastern Colorado there off the Front Range into west central Kansas. Also, the Front Range area there in eastern Colorado into western Kansas, we also have the threat for 2-inch diameter hail or larger, and a couple of tornadoes possible there from eastern Colorado through Kansas and into southern Missouri into the Ozarks region. So we'll keep a very close eye on that. Let's look at the setup here for today. Dew point temperatures very moisture rich down here into Missouri, into Kansas, and further south. Dew points into the 60s and well into the 70s here. So it's air you can wear. The second you walk outdoors, you can feel the mugginess of the air out there. This is your thunderstorm fuel this afternoon. Over 4,000 joules per kilogram there into Kansas and into Missouri, and still pretty high further south into Arkansas and Oklahoma. Over 3,000 joules per kilogram there. This is also a parameter space that we look at for the turning of the winds with height for any tornado formation. Notice the values are pretty low this afternoon, but as the low-level jet starts to crank up this evening after sunset, more importantly, really a few hours after sunset. So from around 7, 8 o'clock through around 10 p.m., that's really the peak here into southeastern portions of Kansas and southwest Missouri. That's where the value's peaking around 10 out of 10, so we'll have to keep an eye on a couple couple tornadoes possible. Then as we go into after midnight, early Sunday morning, those values start to dwindle as the dynamics start to dwindle as well after midnight there. So let's look here at the timing of the storms. This afternoon, we have a couple thunderstorms back here in Colorado, the panhandle of Nebraska, a couple thunderstorms, mainly garden variety storms into northern Nebraska as well. Going into the evening hours, we got what we call a mesoscale convective system. It's a fancy term for a line of storms that will be pushing across western and central Kansas. On the leading edge, that's where you can see those 75-mile-per-hour wind gusts or stronger, those big hailstones over 2 inches in diameter, and a couple spin-up tornadoes cannot be ruled out. Notice a couple of these supercells trying to fire off ahead of the main complex of storms itself. Those could pose a greater risk relative for tornadoes as we go into the evening hours, especially as that low-level jet starts to increase. And then early Sunday morning, this really becomes a messy mode of storms across portions of eastern Kansas into Missouri here. A lot of heavy rain with these. The severe weather threat will be dwindling. It's going to be turning into more of, again, a heavy rainfall threat. And then as we go into Sunday, a couple areas of marginal risks of severe weather. This is a 1 out of 5 in the dark green. One area up here into northeast Nevada, into southeastern Idaho and western Wyoming. Secondary area here into the Denver area, into Colorado, down into eastern New Mexico, the Texas Panhandle, and into portions of southwestern Oklahoma. Keeping a close eye on that. Mainly going to be for the threat for 60-mile-per-hour winds, quarter-size hail, and the tornado threat is less than 2%, thankfully, as we go into the day on Sunday. Here's the setup on Sunday. You see the oranges and yellows on here. Those are dew points in excess of 60 degrees Fahrenheit. A lot of instability up there into the Rockies and the Southern Plains. Not as much as today, but enough to fuel the threat for severe weather as we go into Sunday. So here we go. Sunday afternoon, isolated coverage. Really starting to see more numerous storm coverage Sunday evening. That's as that low-level jet starts to increase, and then that will carry over into early Monday morning towards sunrise, watching out for the potential for severe weather in those areas. Going through the weekend, you can see the haves and the have-nots with who will see the rain and who won't see the rain. You can see in the white shaded color, you're not going to see the rain. So if you're near the Gulf Coast, into the northern plains, upper Midwest, parts of the mid-Atlantic, or back here to the West Coast, we're really not going to see a lot of rain here. Pretty dry through the weekend. The heaviest corridor of rain will be from Kansas, eastern Colorado, all the way over here through the Ozarks of southern Missouri, northern Arkansas, and maybe portions of the mid-Mississippi Valley there. We could be seeing a swath of around 1 to 3 inches of rain, and then a secondary swath from New Mexico into the Texas Panhandle, and we desperately need the rain down here. We have significant drought. A couple areas could see over an inch, inch and a half of rain as we go through the weekend. Moving into next week now for the work week, Monday, June 10th through Friday, June 14th, you can see that ridge out west, bringing all the excessive heat, will start to move further east toward the Mississippi River, and the trough that we've been seeing across the Great Lakes in the Northeast will start to weaken and move further east as well. So what this means is as we go gradually through next work week, temperatures will be on the increase. So as we go into Monday, notice pretty pleasant across most of the U.S. Yes, it's going to be very hot near the Gulf Coast. As you know, down here in Florida, it's very dry right now. The soil is dry, so temperatures will easily make it into the middle and upper 90s on Monday. Going into the middle of the week on Wednesday, there we go, more 80s, maybe some 90s across the middle of the country, and then by late next week, pretty nice temperature gradient here where we have 70s across the upper Midwest there for highs on Friday the 14th, 80s and 90s here across portions of the east. Look at that, the I-95 corridor, New York City could be getting in to the 90-degree mark as we go into Friday as well. Let's look at precipitation trends through the work week. So on Monday, we have a low pressure system over here in the Rockies bringing us some unsettled weather. That will push off into the upper Midwest, southeastern Canada as we go into Tuesday. A little bit of a weak cold front moving through the Midwest, so areas like Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, back there into Nebraska could see a couple showers and storms. Those are not likely to be severe. Then as we go into Wednesday, a little bit of a break, maybe some storms down here in the Red River Valley around Oklahoma, North Texas, and western Arkansas. New low pressure system develops out here into the Rockies. That will push eastward as we go into Wednesday afternoon and evening. Notice your CAPE, your convective available potential energy. Your thunderstorm fuel starts to grow up here across portions of the Dakotas, western Minnesota, and into Nebraska. And then you see the jet streak as well, pretty strong. So there's a lot of lift up here into the northern U.S. So severe weather may be possible there on Wednesday. Moving into Thursday, maybe an organized area of some severe storms across Wisconsin into portions of Minnesota, northern Iowa, maybe even as far south as northern Missouri and northern Illinois. There are some model differences on this. The European model has it further north. GFS Canadian model have it further south into places like Kansas, Missouri, and southern Illinois. We'll keep an eye on that. Regardless, there's going to be instability. There's going to be thunderstorm fuel ready for severe weather on Thursday. Wherever that sets up, we could have severe weather. And you can see with the very strong jet stream that will have no problem with those storms organizing very strong on Thursday, wherever they do set up. But it is still uncertain right now, so stay tuned on that. And as we go into Friday, low pressure system over here into Quebec. We could have some very unsettled weather for Montreal and up there into portions of Ontario, Canada, and a lot of active weather, a lot of tropical moisture down near the Gulf Coast here, with something to watch potentially by the middle to end of next week for Florida and near the southeast coast here. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Very heavy rains down there, and we need the rain in Florida, don't get me wrong. We've had a lot of drought down here. We could be seeing a couple inches of rain, some beneficial rains down there through next week. Couple swaths of rain, very same areas we've been seeing it, folks, across Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana. A couple more inches of rain through next week, and then another swath further to the north across the northern U.S. and southern Canada, where we could have some pockets of an inch or two of rain through next week as well. Let's talk now about Father's Day weekend. We are still a little ways away from this, but there's still some big picture things that we have to talk about here. The big picture wise, we have a trough across the west, okay? So down here in the Pacific Northwest, into the Cascades, into Washington State, Oregon, Idaho, and Montana, and extending over to Wyoming. Some cooler temperatures can be expected there across portions of the Father's Day weekend. And then further east, that ridge that we've been seeing out west, with the trough starting to emerge here, that's going to push the ridge further east toward the Mississippi River Valley and into the eastern U.S. That will cause those temperatures to rise, and we're going to see well above normal temperatures across the Midwest into the Ohio Valley and the eastern U.S. toward the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast as we go into Father's Day weekend. Very sharp temperature gradient here. This is a very high impact potential here of what your temperatures could be. It literally could be 59 degrees here in Minneapolis, St. Paul on Saturday, June 15th, or it could be 83. It literally could be that big of a difference. It just depends on where this temperature gradient sets up there on Saturday and Sunday. But regardless, at points this next weekend, on Father's Day weekend, we could be seeing some summertime heat. Look at that, Chicago 88 potentially. Again, pretty uncertain of where this sets up, but definitely some heat moving in. And looking at the instability or thunderstorm fuel for Father's Day weekend, you can see it's out across the plains, parts of the Midwest like Iowa, southern Minnesota, and Missouri there on Saturday. That pushes up more into the upper Midwest, into Minnesota, Badger State of Wisconsin, and into portions there of Illinois as we go into Sunday, Father's Day. More instability there for thunderstorms. We'll have to watch that. We could have those mesoscale convective systems on Saturday night, and then into Sunday here. So maybe an unsettled pattern as we go into the upper Midwest, but there will be plenty of rain-free hours. I do want to stress that, as this is still a long ways away. Things can change, but there definitely will be plenty of dry hours. So don't go canceling any of those Father's Day weekend plans. Now, looking here at the National Hurricane Center's tropical weather outlook, over the next 7 days in the North Atlantic Ocean, the Caribbean, the Gulf, not really expecting any tropical cyclone formation. So that is some good news. And same thing is held true across the Eastern Pacific Ocean here as well. So that is also some great news. Now, with that said, there have been some ensemble guidances that from the European model and some from the GFS American model guidance and the Canadian model guidance here as well that are hinting at the probability of a tropical depression getting a little greater down here near the Yucatan Peninsula and into the Central Americas, and some of that moisture at least may start to stream northward toward the Gulf Coast and toward Florida as we get closer toward Father's Day weekend or thereabouts, or maybe just a couple of days after that. As we get into the second half there of June, we'll keep you updated on that. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll have another weather forecast video out for you tomorrow. Make sure to give the video a like if you like today's weather forecast. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those after the video, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their weekend out there.